Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Insight for the 6th of June. Now, as we come into the Asian session, there's the charts are the currencies haven't got a long way, and I was talking about this yesterday with most of the majors. They are primarily just trading sideways. I mentioned sterling was gyrating around on various data releases of Brexit. Aussie and Kiwi sort of still drifting to the top side, but Aussie had a little bit of strong data. And dollar yen, slight upward bias, but really not going anywhere. And dollar CAD continues to really trade sideways in a very big range. Now, so what did that leave us with? Now, when you come back to your charts, what you really should be doing is just reconstructing your trend lines to the new break levels, basically. So on the Aussie, we do have the Aussie GDP coming out today, so that's going to be important. You want to tune up your charts, basically get them back in check. Look at the Kiwi. I mean, this is what you get to with, just to highlight it, on Kiwi sort of sideways trading. See how it breaks both sides of the markets. Euro's done the exact same thing. Dollar CAD was a bit more on the data, but you can see how trying to push the currencies or push the trade when they are trading sideways, like break trades and these things aren't necessarily the best thing unless there's a big economic driver or fundamental driver. Righto, so when you come back to doing your technicals, you are just basically reconstructing those the new support and resistance levels, and that's pretty much it. So you're going through the Kiwi. There's not much to do here on dollar yen. If anything, we've got a new support trend line developing. Okay, it's only got 2 touches, but it's in the early stages of developing a support trend line in the middle of the cloud there. Euro. Now there's a lot of mixed noise out of Europe. Okay, there's the ECB. The rumor is the ECB is going to give us some sort of date for quantitative easing or at the ending of QE next ECB meeting. Also, the Italian Prime Minister Conte did come out and said Italy never at any point considered leaving the Eurozone. So that put a little bit of an underlying positive bias on Euro, and you can see now it just continues to trade sideways. Sterling, a little bit better services data, but it's no easy trade. Brexit is coming up a lot in the news at the moment. The media are just starting to build Brexit news, okay, just to try and get the UK involved. Now, dollar CAD popped to the top side on a real strong ISM non-manufacturing data, and this whipped back straight back into the range. Oil, it's come back from sort of in the 64s, back in the 65, 70. It continues to sort of just gyrate, and there's no real direction there either. So Trump has got so many things going on, right, that it's very hard to work out exactly where the direction of these moves is coming from. Okay, he's now got a whole heap of trade issues with, not just with Mexico. I'd say that's the least of his problems, but Canada, the Eurozone, China, and a bunch of other obviously European countries. They're all sort of contributing to this whole fandangle geopolitical situation, why the currencies are trading sideways this week. The oil situation with the Saudis, the Russians, that's a completely different issue, but still at the same time is quite a big event. And that's simmering in the background as well, and that's keeping dollar CAD on, just sort of fluctuating in a pretty big range. So just going through the quick bits of news, you need to understand why the currencies are moving. As I mentioned, the dollar reverses gains. Now, this isn't US dollar weakness. This is just a bit of euro strength. Underlying fundamentals for the US dollar are strong, so don't get confused. There's just no US numbers or really massive ones this week. So the US dollar takes its lead from the other currency pairs. Euro, being 58% of the dollar index basket, has the biggest influence, right? So with euro sort of rallying and sterling's about 12 or 15%, that puts an underlying bit of pressure on the US dollar index, but underneath everything, it hasn't gone far. Now, dollar CAD also, the NAFTA bits and pieces there's sterling Brexit. So there's a whole heap of crap in the background, and that's making trading a little bit, trickier than it needs to be, right? If you just look at the US dollar, right, I'll just get the dollar index up here. You can see it has broken down slightly here on the trend line, but that's not a trend line. That's not a trend break as such. As you can see, it's been trading sideways through here for some time. We use the trend line to isolate potential entries, but you can see it's just drifting sideways. if we just have a look here at the green bars here, that's the US 10 years starting to etch up back towards 2.95%. So underlying, yeah, the US dollar's bid. We've got strong fundamentals. I think the US dollar this week is just on the back foot slightly, because the fact is there's no more driving big numbers, and the lead is coming from the other countries. But this Italian turnaround is quite significant. Now, just having a look at the major releases. So planning your day ahead, obviously the next most important thing is isolate the pairs with the best technical setup, and then come back and look at the major high impacting events that will potentially drive these currencies around. Now, the Aussie GDP, that's the overall health check for the currency or the economy. The Aussie is in a slight uptrend at the moment. I like the idea of getting strong GDP numbers, getting into a trade and probably holding it now for the Aussie to get up towards 77, 78 cents. I think it's got plenty of room to do that at the moment. Coming back down to the European session, we've got the German industrial numbers, and then you've got Polos speaking. That's going to be another very tricky situation, but you'll see dollar CAD chop all over the place, and then we head back in towards the end of the week. So there's not a lot coming up, but there is a hell of a lot of geopolitical stuff, and that's where the G7, there could even be more than 7 countries there for that matter, will come into play. And that's where we really need to sort of fine-tune what's going on, and you'll find that in the general news services. Okay, that's why we use Reuters to really tune in to what's going on. So that's pretty much it, guys. As I see it, with the major pairs at the moment, just coming back to the majors, as I said, the Aussie GDP, this is definitely worth having a close look at. It is going to be a major event. When you come into the European session, the German industrial numbers, obviously more relevant to Euro. It's trading sideways. If we get a turnaround in that European data, right, get strong numbers, we could start to see Euro finally break out of this sort of 117.20 top. Sterling, I expect to continue trading in a broad range. And with Polos speaking, I think dollar CAD is going to continue on a very wild sort of range. But look at that movement in oil, that green bar there. It is still sort of, to me, trending lower. I wouldn't be surprised to see oil head lower, and that'll take dollar CAD higher. Although NAFTA, the trade, all the other trade tensions, the tariffs, everything else going on with Canada, there's so many different variables. It's very hard to work out what the driving force is behind dollar CAD. But just keep an eye on that. And dollar CAD, the beast, as I like to call it, it's just going on its merry way. When there are other geopolitical events, dollar yen generally minds its own business and doesn't do too much. But we do have that support trend line starting to build, and that's something for us to work with, whether we look to get long on go with that trend or we look for a breakdown. That'll probably depend on these trade tensions sorting themselves out over the next few days. All right, that's generally it, guys. That's a bit of a rundown. Hopefully that helps you on your way. If you have any questions, jump in the trade zone, and I'll be sure to answer your questions in there. All right, guys, have a good one. We'll catch you later on. Cheerio.